Okay, so there have been a few questions about how to add, subtract, multiply, divide polynomials and that sort of thing. So I want to do a quick refresher video for you. So real quickly, let's go over the rules when we're dealing with exponents. Remember, you can't have negative exponents when you fully simplify something. So if it's in the numerator, that term drops down to the denominator, the power becomes positive. If it's in the denominator, it goes up to the numerator and the power becomes positive. When you are multiplying two things that have the same base, make sure you add those exponents. And then if you're dividing, then you subtract the exponents. Remember, you got to have the same base. If you have a power to a power, like this, so you have a to the m and all that to the n, you multiply the powers. If you have multiplication inside parentheses and a power outside, then you distribute the power to both things in parentheses. If you have division, you can do the same thing. You distribute the power to everything that's inside the parentheses. This only works with multiplication and division, okay? And let's not even worry about this -1 down here right now. So, to go back and look at a couple examples that we had done in class, or you had done for homework at some point. Alright, there, focused. You notice here, you had number 1, c to the 12th, c to the -4th, and c to the 6th. You're multiplying all of those. Even though there's a negative power there, you can just go add them up or subtract accordingly. The powers, 12 minus 4 plus 6, and you get c to the 14th. Jumping down here, let's look at number 4. Oh, it's already there. Okay, so number 4, you can look at it a couple of different ways. You see x to the -2nd and x to the 4th. So you could subtract numerator power minus denominator power, so -2 minus 4. That gets you x to the -6th. And then you have y to the 1st over y to the -1st. 1 minus -1 is 2. You have a -6 power, so that drops down to the denominator, y squared over x to the 6th. Now, what you had to do for today and what you're doing on the quiz, I don't have a whole lot of really any problems like this at this point. What I'm more interested in is the adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So let's take a look at some of those. I'm going to flip this over and look at the other side of our note sheet. Remember, when you're adding and subtracting polynomials, all you're doing is combining like terms. And remember, like terms have the same, exactly the same variables to the same powers. The only major thing you need to watch there are your signs, your positive and your negative. Do you need to distribute or not? So let's just look at a couple examples here. So number 1, you have the first set of terms, 6x squared minus 3x plus 2 minus the whole quantity, 4x squared plus x minus 3. Notice there's a minus, so we need to distribute that everywhere we go. Now you can rewrite it if you want, either grouping like terms together, or if you would rather, you can go back, rewrite the original problem, 3x plus 2, flip the signs on everything, and then combine your like terms. So 6x squared minus 3x plus 2 minus 4x squared minus x plus 3. Now combine your like terms, and you have 2x squared. 3x and -x is -4x, and 2 plus 3 is 5. And remember, and you may catch this a little bit on something like my open math, if you have one variable, you need to write it in descending order of the power. So you got to have the 2x squared, then the -4x, then the plus 5. Now number 2, there's 2 variables, so it doesn't matter the order. Here, there's a plus sign in between, so all you got to do literally is combine like terms. So what are the y squared terms are there? 7y squared and minus 4y squared. 3y squared. 12xy and 6xy is 18xy. -5x squared minus 3x squared, -8x squared. So don't overthink those problems. And really the same thing is true for multiplication. Don't overthink those problems either. Remember when we did these in class, you're like, oh my goodness, that was so easy. Go back to that mindset. You know what you're doing. You can do this. So let's just take a look at a couple examples quickly. There we go, as it refocuses. So when you're finding the product distribute. If there's one term outside the parentheses, distribute it to each thing in parentheses. So 2x times the quantity 3x squared minus 5 is 6x cubed minus 10x. Now, if there's two terms in parentheses times two terms in parentheses, you FOIL. First term, x squared times x squared. Outer term, x squared times negative 5. Inner, negative 2 times x squared. And last, negative 2 times negative 5. Combine your like terms if you're able to. Remember, one variable, write in descending order. Now, if you have, say, two terms in one set of parentheses and three in another, all you're doing is distributing. Then you combine like terms. So number 11, where you have 2n squared, you're going to multiply that times n squared. Then you're going to take and multiply it by 5n. That's how we got the 2n to the 4th. 10n to the 3rd. And then 2n squared times negative 1 is negative 2n squared. Now you're going to take the second term, the negative 3, and multiply it by each term in the second parenthesis. So negative 3 times n squared, negative 3n squared. Negative 3 times 5n is negative 15n. And negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 3. Now all you have to do is go through and combine your like terms. 2n to the 4th plus, don't mind that, to be plus 10n cubed. You have two terms with n squared, so you combine those to minus 5n squared minus 15n plus 3. So just apply those power rules, combine like terms where you can, distributive property, all those good things will help you with the adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Or not the dividing, we'll get to that.